Kim, I know you didn't end things the way you probably wanted to. You wanted to be out there on the court, but just can you just describe just the overall, just the thought process and sum up just what this season meant for you?
At the end of the day, any opportunity to go out and play, um, play the game we love is something to be cherished. Um, and I'm very grateful to be a part of the league, to be a part of this organization. And so that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind is that, a lot to look at, a lot to take away from the season. Areas that, you know, for improvement, areas that have shown improvement, and onward and upward.
What would you say was the biggest lesson that you learned just throughout this year personally and professionally on the court?
The biggest lesson I'd say would just be along the lines of probably just holding a bigger leadership role amongst our team, amongst our group, leadership kind of on and off the court in those ways.
Following up on that, I mean, when you came here from Phoenix, I mean, you were kind of a younger guy on that roster, learning from guys like CP3. When you're here and being able to, I don't know, mentor younger guys, lead younger guys, how much did you relish that, and how much of a change was that? Did you have to become more vocal? Did you have to kind of change the way you go about your affairs in terms of, taking guys aside or being, more outspoken?
I wouldn't say necessarily change as much as I'd say grow. Change would kind of, in my opinion, imply that you're doing something that is kind of outside yourself more so, and that's part of it, and that's part of growth. But I'd attribute it more to just the growth aspect of taking those next steps. Understanding what my teammates were able to do for me in the past in terms of bringing me up to speed, and making sure that I understand the game, and just in general being taken care of. I know I always had vets around me when I was younger that had my back in anything. And so understanding that it's now my time to be that person for our group, and understand that we do have a really young team, and just being there for the guys, and trying to help them grow in this league and take the next steps for themselves, whatever that may be. But I've enjoyed that process for sure, and I've learned a lot through it. And I've enjoyed seeing so many guys on the team just take steps forward with their confidence, with their approach, with their habits. It's been cool to see.
And for such a young team, considering your own personal growth this season, when you have a team that's rebuilding and a guy who has taken quantum leaps forward and has had a career year, obviously your name came up at the trade deadline. Your name probably will come up again and be bandied about in the summer. Do you go to Sean, or do you wait for him to come to you? Do you let your agents deal with that? How do you?
Go to Sean in terms of what?
Do you go to Sean just to understand exactly what the grand plan is for you, or do you wait for him to come to you? You let your agent say, I pay them to do that?
Definitely. Definitely go to him and ask, because I have a very vested interest in what we're doing here. I feel like I put a lot of effort into trying to be a part of this program, and I take that very seriously, and I feel like I've also been given a responsibility to have that approach. I would definitely like to know everything that's going on, and understand that I'm not going to be let in on every decision, or have say in every decision, but I would like to know going forward. But it is also my job to, at this point, work on myself, get better, and handle whatever comes along with being a pro and in this situation.
Cam, I'm interested to know what you think the identity of this team was, but also kind of like where it started game one or even, training camp, San Diego, up until now? How did it kind of develop? It felt like it kind of almost got better and better. I mean, even as the team, struggled at times, it felt like the identity kind of stayed the same.
Yeah, and I think that was something that we really wanted to, emphasize this year, was having some type of identity, something that when you see, you're playing against the Nets, you're going to get this. And I think for us this year was playing hard, picking up the ball pressuring. Our pace wasn't high in the league, but that can be attributed to a number of factors. I think we are a team that's going to make you fight to win the game, those sort of things. And for the most part, we were pretty good at that all year. What it needs to become is that sustained effort, which, that play hard is 87% of the time is a lot different than 100% of the time. That's a big gap to cover. So get whatever it is to an even better level of consistency, and then just add wrinkles in our knowledge. I was talking to guys yesterday. Let's just say something defensively. When we're talking about defensive coverages, just a knowledge of how to manipulate the court and communication-wise to, make ourselves as effective as possible. There are layers that come with being with the group for an extended period of time, being with the coaching staff for an extended period of time, that you can develop. And so as we do that, as we develop those wrinkles offensively, defensively, making everything sort of second nature, we'll be able to take a big step, execution-wise, that maybe sometimes we're lacking this year, not for lack of trying, but more just, naturally. And if it was that easy, then everybody would do it. It wouldn't be a big deal, and we wouldn't have anything to sit here and talk about. So that's the goal for us, is to take those next steps.
On the subject of being a veteran leader and a voice, you said you've been given that responsibility. Is that something where there was a directive from the coaching staff or management, or you took it upon yourself, or both, or how does that come about?
Yeah, and when I say that, yeah, definitely there's a component of that. And being one of the oldest, being the second oldest on the team right now, it comes naturally. And then on top of that, I've been given the opportunity to play here. I came here on my rookie contract and then signed a 4-year deal that affords me a huge opportunity. And I don't take that for granted. I don't think anybody in our league should, but you should. It definitely comes with responsibility, and being the best professional you can be, taking care of your business, and making those career steps that take you from young guy that's trying to learn it all and take it all in to digesting those lessons and helping bring up the younger guys on the team. And so that's what I mean when I say sort of responsibility.
And then also, you're a player, you're getting into the veteran stage of your career. You've played, in the finals before. And this is a team that is rebuilding. It can build it out as slow or fast as it like. And you said you'd enjoyed the process of seeing the younger guys grow. Being in that leadership role and leading those guys and watching them grow while you might not be competing for a championship, is that something you find, as satisfying, or kind of how do you balance that being where you're at in your career versus, being a team that's trying to contend for a title right now?
I think the point I'd make to that is I feel like I'm growing right alongside them. I do not feel like in any way, shape, or form that I'm a finished product myself. And I know that I'm finishing up year 6 and, towards the end of my 20s. I know those things, but I still feel like I have a whole lot of growth in front of me. And I've told you, I've sat up here on this podium and told you guys that for a couple years now, and I stand by it. And I think I've made steps in the right direction, but I'm still growing as a player. And so I'm growing alongside the young guys. We're all working. We're all trying to get better. We're all chasing something. So, yeah, obviously I want to win. That's bottom line. I play this game because I like to win. I hate losing. It does not sit well with me. But I can also find silver linings to situations. And one thing that I'll always do is put my head down and work and try to be a better player and better teammate and all those things. And so I can pivot and focus on those things. And I think I have to some extent. Obviously, I would like to get back to winning as quick as possible. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy every moment of chasing it. because that's what makes it feel even better, is when you really, you got to work for it.
Cam, when you look at your individual success this year in a career year, how much do you attribute that to, one, your own health, whether it's maybe Jordy doing sets, or I don't know, maybe the beard, I don't know.
It could be all the above, right? It's just a different kind of year, just in terms of personnel, and I've found myself in, with probably a lot more play calls for myself than I'd had before, and maybe with that, more defensive attention, and we've had a little bit of lineup shuffles over the course of the season, but I've always said it's time to show the work that I put in for the past 10 years of my career, and I learned a lot from those things, and I feel like I can be even better, and I can feel like I can be even more effective, even more efficient. But yeah, it's I give a lot of credit to Jordy and his staff, and it wasn't always extremely easy, but they always kept our mindset in the right direction. That goes a long way when you're trying to go out there and compete and put your best foot forward.
And just as a core player with these guys, what do you see for the future of the team, given the assets you have and cap space and things like that, where there could be brighter days down the line?
Me personally, I think it's from here, and it can look very different depending on which way it's approached, and that's not my decision at the end of the day, but it's to get back to winning as quick as possible. And I don't know what that means, and I don't know exactly how that's accomplished, but continuing to fill our roster with the talent and the right type of people and the right type of players to make a cohesive group that's capable of winning. And then from there, just everybody in the league is chasing a championship, and so I get everything that comes along with that. But it's really time for us to put that as goal number one: get back to winning, get back into the playoff picture, and go from there.
Yeah, Cam, I was just interested in one guy, Zaire. Just kind of your thoughts on what you saw from his development, but also just kind of as a person and what's next for him.
One, he's a great teammate. He's very reliable, somebody that you can always talk to in game situations. He has a very good understanding of the game. You can tell that he's paid a lot of attention to smaller details, especially as he's finishing up year 4 now, so he's kind of making that transition into being a little bit more of a veteran presence. The one thing that stood out to me from the beginning was his ability to defend, his ability to pressure the ball, to disrupt, to use his length. That was a sort of almost a surprise there. And then offensively, he has a lot more to his game than I thought beforehand. And I think his shooting has developed a lot as the season went on. And I look forward to him taking wherever he is, if it's here or anywhere else. I think he's going to continue to take strides. He's really young. He's very young. And he has a lot of potential that he can tap into. And, there's a lot there as a scorer, as a shooter, as a defender, and an overall playmaker. So I'm encouraged for his future.